What's going on, guys? MariK here, back with another Dragon Ball Super deck profile. This is a deck that we've been working on for quite a while, and as we were working on it, more and more cards kept coming out to kind of make the deck better. So we've been changing it up a little bit as we've been going. Initially, when we started with this deck, we were going with the Set 4 Piccolo leader, but of course, with the release of the expansion and the new Surge leaders, we opted to go for the new Piccolo Surge leader because it was just a better leader. Sure, the other leader got critical, but this card gets ridiculous draw power and two ridiculous abilities on the Awakened side. On the front side, at the beginning of your turn, you get to look at the top card of your deck and choose whether or not to place it on top of the deck or the bottom of the deck, and then you got to draw a card. And then you would draw a card for the start of your turn. So you would draw two cards, you wouldn't have to worry about attacking to gain card advantage, and you'd have a good idea of what you were going to draw. So if you saw a card, you're like, well shit, this isn't going to help me now, put it at the bottom of the deck. On the Awakened side, you had two fantastic abilities, making your opponent choose two cards in their hand and send them to their warp, or choosing a blue-green multicolor in your energy, and putting it in your energy, ignoring energy exhaust. Both those abilities are super solid, but the one I was really excited for was the make your opponent warp two cards in their hand. Since this was going to be a Piccolo hand destruction deck anyways, this leader just made the deck so much better. The first card in the deck is Special Beam Cannon. Since we're going for hand destruction, this is a fantastic card, offensively and defensively, giving your leader 10,000 power for the duration of the battle. And then you can choose a card in your opponent's hand and place it in their drop area. Now, you don't get to look at their hand, but you do get to be the one to pick, so it is random for you, but it's also random for them, which to me is a plus, but at the same time, you might still get rid of something they don't want, but the upside is you can still pitch something they want to hold on to, and there's nothing they can do to stop you from doing that. We also run the new Cell's Earth-Destroying Kamehameha. If your leader is green, you give it or your battle card 15,000 power for the duration of the battle. And then if all of your energy is green, and that includes blue-green or green-yellow, when you activate this card, you get to choose a card in your opponent's hand and place it in their drop area. Those are going to be your two, turn one plays. It's really weird, I know, because a lot of times you want to have, a turn one play, but more or less your turn one play with this deck is you can play that. You can attack if you want to with the leader, if you want to KO something they swung with, but otherwise you use it defensively to keep your life high. You can get rid of a card from your opponent's hand, and ideally you're going to start whittling away their resources before you start playing into yours. Then we have Hidden Power of the Saiyans. This is one of my favorite counterplay cards. Your leader's green. Your opponent can place the battle card they're playing in their drop area. If they don't, they have to send two cards from their hand to the drop area. This is really, really good for this deck because you can either completely shut your opponent out of playing their battle cards, or you can force them to discard. If they happen to play a card with Deflect, if you didn't know, you can't be chosen, so they automatically have to discard two cards whether they want to or not. We choose this card over Preemptive Strike because Preemptive Strike can only hit cards 4 or less, whereas this hits anything, and they have the option to choose whether or not they want to discard. And so I like that a bit better. If you play it early on, you're either going to prevent them from making any progress in the match, or you're going to force them to discard two cards relatively early so that they feel like they can actually get somewhere with the game, with their own strategy. And then late game, this is just a perfect card for either or. You're either going to shut them down or force them to discard, which by, turn 4 and 5, they're not going to have a whole lot of resources left to play with anyways, so one way or another, they're going to lose a card. Next, we have Piccolo, Cunning Strategist. This is going to really be the first battle card you're going to end up playing. The reason for that is because when you play him, you can choose any Namekian 4 or less in your hand and play it. Now, its skills are going to be negated for the turn, but there are several good Piccolo cards that you can play that don't care about having their skill negated when they're played. They'll get their skills when they're needed. And so this lets you play the 4 costs for basically 3 energy. Lets you play them either a turn early or for an energy less if you're already at 4 energy. And then you've got Cunning Strategist as just another 15k beater, or better yet, as something to use for combo fodder or for your other abilities. Your first option to play with Cunning Strategist is Ready to Strike Piccolo. He's a card all the way back from Set 2 Union Force. He's got blocker, but his main selling point is that at the end of the turn, your opponent must choose cards from their hand until there are only 6 cards left. So it's going to force them to drop some stuff, and that's really nice because not only at the end of their turn, you get them down to 6 if they have a big hand, or if they're playing a deck that draws a whole lot, then you're cutting down their resources, which then in turn allows you to cut down the resources further with cards like the Cell's Kamehameha, Special Beam Cannon, and then you have a bigger chance to whittle away their resources until they have basically very few options between charging and deciding what to play for the turn. Your next option is Son Gohan and Piccolo, Pupil and Master. This is a really nice card because not only does it have barrier for when you play it and it comes out, it's got barrier to keep it protected, but every time this card attacks, your opponent has to choose a card and discard it, and it has revive for blue-green, so you can bring it back if they do happen to get rid of it, and using this card to not only KO whatever battle cards your opponent successfully is able to play, but it also allows you to force them to discard a card as well, so it's a really nice trade-off with this card, and having barrier just makes it so much easier to play this card without any hassle. Next we have Piccolo, Prideful Hero. This is one of the Noble Hero rares from the last set, and none of these cards really got used at all. Not the Noble Heroes or the Ignoble Villains, but I really like this Piccolo, and for what we were going for with this deck, this card is perfect for it. He's got critical, so any attacks he does is not letting your opponent get card advantage, and his once per turn, you get to choose one of your battle cards, place it in your drop area, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, KO it, and then they have to discard a card. That's a +2 right there. Well, I guess it's a +1 because you're having to get rid of one of your cards, but you can use his ability to get rid of the Cunning Strategist once you've used him, because after he's been played, he's not going to do anything besides be a 15k beater. Now, what I was disappointed with this card is that you place your card in the drop area. So I was really hoping that you could kind of loop the revive with the Master and Pupil, Gohan and Piccolo. That way you could attack, make your opponent discard a card, play this guy, use his ability, KO the Piccolo Gohan, and then bring them back and let them attack again. I don't know if Bandai intentionally worded it to where you place your card in the drop area with this card's ability, if that was intentional or just simply a choice of word for that card, but either way, it could have made this play so much more enjoyable, but it is what it is, and there are still other options, other cards in the deck that fit perfectly that we can just toss away with this card's ability without having to get rid of one of our better Piccolos. Then we've got Frenzied Warrior Piccolo. This is a card you do not want to play with the Cunning Strategist because you don't want his on-play ability to be negated. He's got Deflect and Bond 3. When you play him, you get to choose one of the following abilities. Obviously, you're going to go with the second one that says your opponent chooses 2 cards from their hand, sends them to their warp. So they're going to warp 2 of their cards. They can't counterplay it, so they can't stop it. And then right here, you've got a 20,000 battle card that can do some serious damage, or if you really wanted him to, can also be the trade-off fodder for the Prideful Hero. You could have him have his ability come out, rips out 2 cards, KOs a battle card because he's 20,000 power, and then use him for Prideful Hero to KO one of your opponent's battle cards again and make them discard a card. Then we've got Surprise Attack Frieza. This is always just a solid card to play, especially in green decks. Him having crit and being able to be played for free just really makes him fit well in so many different decks, especially a deck like this where we're trying to rip away our opponent's hand advantage and crit away their life so they don't get any of that card advantage back. On top of that, he happens to be a green card, so if you have more than one of him, so if you happen to draw into too many copies of him, you can easily just charge him for your energy, and it's not going to interrupt the flow of the deck at all. It's not really a necessary card for the deck, but it felt like it helped enough and gave us kind of a little bit of an aggressive push to go along with the hand control aspect. Then we've got one of my personal favorite cards to play, especially in a green deck, is Dark Temptation Toa. Just a super fantastic card for any hand control themed deck. You get to overwhelm her for free as long as you have 3 or more cards in your drop area, and she gets to not only make your opponent discard a card, but it gives your leader a 5k boost for the turn as well. And then on top of that, she can swing for 15k. You can combo her to automatically put her in your drop to start your drop area for the next Temptation Toa, or she's another card you can use with the Prideful hero Piccolo, send her to a drop that way to make your opponent discard another card on top of that. I always love trying to fit Overwhelm into a deck if it doesn't interfere with the main strategy, because when Overwhelm was first introduced, it was just a great mechanic. It was a really cool ability to be able to play cards for free, and when you can utilize them in so many different ways like this, it really makes them stand out, and really makes me wonder why Overwhelm cards still are not as played as much as I feel like they should be. When I first started building this deck, I wanted to make it as Piccolo themed as possible, so I went ahead and scooped up a playset of these promo defensive stance Piccolos just because they looked fucking dope. I really like the way they did the promos like this. And then when they started doing the reveals for set 9, and they finally revealed these super combos, we immediately changed it from Piccolo to Android 18 Bionic Blitz, because it's another card you're making your opponent discard. It is another way we are taking away any card advantage that they might garner during their turns. And on top of it, getting rid of a card in their hand, it also places it at the bottom of their deck, so they can't interact with it directly through cards that get stuff back from the drop area. This card is probably a perfect example of how every time a new card that came out that helped this deck along made us come back and have to rebuild the deck over and over and over again. And I'm not complaining about the fact that we did, because each of these cards made the deck better and better and better and more fun to play, but it was one of those things that ever since we started building this deck, the deck itself has been evolving and evolving until we got to this point where I feel like the deck has everything it needs to be good, to be able to just take control of a match and whittle away your opponent's chances of victory. Next up, we have our counterplay card, Sacrifice. I love this card because it is a very unique card that is similar to the sparking counterattacks that we got with set 5. Now, the difference being those cards being sparking, you have to have 5 or more cards in your drop area. Sacrifice has no restrictions aside from the fact that your leader has to be a Namekian. So you can play this card no matter what your situation, whenever you want. Add a card from your life to your hand, no energy is necessary, and it doesn't interfere with the fact that we play the 4 Toas. So cards like this don't interfere with Overwhelm, making it a lot easier to play with them without having to play around each other's abilities. Super fantastic card for the deck. It helps you get cards from your life if your opponent isn't doing much damage to you, and overall just a solid negate card. For the last 2 cards, we run a pair of Remote Serious Bomb. I feel like this is a severely underrated card from Draftbox, and to me, it's a good removal card. It gets rid of any battle card as long as it doesn't have barrier. Your opponent has to choose it, but with the way this deck is built, they're not going to have a whole lot of cards in their hands. They're not going to have a whole lot of cards to play. Therefore, you're usually going to be able to get rid of any card relatively easily. And so, I feel like this card has its purpose, but it's not something that's necessary in the deck. You've also got a few other options for Piccolo cards that you could play in the deck that can be played via the Cunning Strategist. Of course, you've got Piccolo Assimilated Ability. If you've got the money to drop on those, he's the best one by far. He's got Barrier to protect himself, and then his Activate Battle ability is just really handy and adds to the amount of draw power that you already get with this deck, putting you further ahead in card advantage than your opponent. You could also do Kami's Power Piccolo. He's got Barrier, he's got Double Strike, and he can KO an opponent's battle card, but only during your main phase, whereas Assimilated Ability can do it during the battle phase of either player's turn. Then there's also Piccolo the Strategist, who has Barrier and has Critical, so you can get in some crit damage, preventing your opponent from gaining more card advantage. And he's got an activate main that lets you KO a battle card energy less than or equal to your current energy, so that gives you crit and some card destruction in that card as well. And then if you want a little bit more defense, you've got Focused Mind Piccolo from the Tournament of Power theme booster. He's got Barrier and Blocker, and during your opponent's turn, if you have 4 more energy, he gains an additional 5,000 power. So you've got a lot of options for other Piccolo cards you can play in the deck, but ideally, I feel like since the deck is focusing mostly on hand control aspects, you've got the best options in the deck, with the exception of Assimilated Ability, which I did not put in the main deck because I do not own any, and I don't plan on trying to get them to, play this deck that way until they drop further in price, or if I happen to decide to play this deck at an event, I would just borrow them. But that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for this deck profile. Honestly, I really love that they finally gave us a good, solid Piccolo leader. I didn't mind the set 4 leader. He was really generic because at the time they were just doing, when this card attacks leader, draw a card. And you're like, wow, that's great. Gaining critical on the Awakened side wasn't bad. Giving another Namekian a power boost wasn't bad. But overall, the leader itself just didn't really hold up. This leader gives you extra card advantage unawakened. It gives you ramp and card advantage on the Awakened side, and it's just a different way to awaken as well. So overall, it's just a better leader and makes this deck so much better in and of itself. I never used to like hand control as a strategy, but the way Super does hand control just really makes it fun to play between decks like Cell, decks like Super 17, and even with this Piccolo stuff. There's just all kinds of hand control stuff that's really fun to play. But let me know what you guys think about this deck. If you guys want to give it a try, let me know how well it does for you, any suggestions you have, any changes you would make. And who knows, we might be able to find a way to have a competitive Piccolo hand control deck that might make some, might make some noise at an event somewhere. But with that, we're going to go ahead and get the frig out of here, and we'll see you guys in the next video.